This is a chance for you to have an understanding of and see all the variety of options that are available from what we'll call an expert panel of witnesses. If you want to slide on to the next screen there, please, Imelda. We've got a variety of people from Abri, the colleges, Bridgewater, Strode, Education Business Partnerships, us, SomersetWorks. We'll explain a bit about that at the end. There's a chance for you to listen to maybe send some questions in, but have an understanding about the range of options that there are available to young people, to your young people, as they leave year 11 and move into post-16. Yes, there are college options, the traditional ones we've always talked about, but also there are a range of other options, what going to college looks like, feels like, and other options around that. Looking at Skill Up Somerset and Ask and various other people talking about those things that could be there, things you may not be so aware of, T-levels, apprenticeships, traineeships. Okay, so we're going to go through each one in turn. I'm going to hand over to the first one and then it'll work on like that. And then at the end, I'll pop back and I'll try and answer any questions that have come through and talk about the support we can put in place. So first of all, we're going to ask Nikki from Ask to come and talk to us, please. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki.
Hello, thank you, Richard. Hi, so yeah, my name's Nikki. I'm here from the Ask project, which is a Department for Education funded programme. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about 3 of the options post-16. So we've got apprenticeships, traineeships and T-levels. I'm just going to really brief sort of run through what they are and how they work quickly for you. Okay, do you want to have click the next? Thank you. Okay, so first of all, about apprenticeship. So as an apprentice, you are employed and you are paid a salary just like everybody else that's in that company. You have a contract of employment as well, so that's something that's really important. So you get this, holiday entitlement and everything else, just like everybody else that works for that organisation as well. As an apprentice, your time is split. So 80% of your time is actually in the workplace. So you're actually doing the job that you're training to do, working alongside those sort of skilled people that are already doing that job and learning from them as well. And then the other 20% of the time is what we call off the job training. And that is where you are attending a training provider or a college or a university, if it's a degree level apprenticeship later on, and you're actually studying towards a qualification. So this is like the study element of the programme. Typically, an apprenticeship can take anywhere between 1 and 4 years. There are some exceptions. So some of the degree level programs can take up to 6 years. And it does very much depend on a number of factors. So it can be affected by the level that you're studying at, the subject that you're studying, and also the training provider as well. You'll hear the word standards used quite a lot. So standard is basically, if you think of it as like a job role really, so there's probably, it says 600 on the screen here now, there's actually getting on for nearly 700 different apprenticeship standards now, and covering a staggering sort of 1,500 or so different job roles. So there's a lot and lots there to choose from. Mentioned already that you can go all the way up to a degree level with an apprenticeship. I'll talk a little bit more about the levels in a moment. It's just really important to remember that an apprenticeship is a real job and you do have real responsibilities just like everybody else in the company. You're expected to work hard, turn up on time, etc. And it's not necessarily going to be the right option for everybody. You have got to sort of balance that sort of obviously working and studying at the same time. Okay, next slide please. Okay, so a little bit about the levels. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but you can just see on the screen here on the right hand side, it says equivalent educational level. So when you do an apprenticeship, for example, I'm going to pick advanced level 3 apprenticeships there. When you successfully complete that apprenticeship, you will have qualifications that are the equivalent to 2 A-level passes, a level 3 diploma, or an international baccalaureate. So you can see the sort of comparison there. A higher apprenticeship is level 4 and 5, is equivalent to a foundation degree or above, and you're going on to the degree levels, the level 6 and 7. It's important to note that you don't have to go all the way through all the levels. So you don't have to start at level 2 and work all the way up if you want to do a degree. It very much depends on your prior learning and qualifications, and obviously the job role that you're doing as well, because not every job role is available all the way up to degree level. Next slide, please. Okay. So as I said, there's a huge range of apprenticeships available. Lots of people just think when they sort of talk about apprenticeships, they kind of, instinctively think about things like sort of plumbing and bricklaying, hairdressing, those kind of things. There are many, many brilliant apprenticeship programs in those areas, but there's also hundreds of different roles now covered by apprenticeships that you might not be aware of. So obviously I couldn't get them all on the screen today, but we've just got a few up there now. I'm just going to pick out a few of the sort of maybe more sort of less common ones, less known about ones. You know, things you can now become a nurse through an apprenticeship, sports coaching, so a personal trainer. Obviously there's lots of engineering roles. You can now, if you're looking at a career in law, you can now sort of go all the way through sort of paralegal and solicitor through the apprenticeship route. Lots in sort of digital and IT, media and art is another area that people may be not aware of that you can do apprenticeships in. But as I said, there's a whole host of them. There's a website at the bottom there, instituteforapprenticeships.org. You can look at all the different standards on that website and give you an idea as to what is available out there, but also what's being developed. So new apprenticeship programs that are going to be coming through as well. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Moving on to employers, this is really important to sort of understand that, you know, obviously these big companies on the screen here, they all sort of recruit apprentices at various times throughout the year. And they all offer, you know, fantastic programs, fantastic opportunities, but it's also important to remember that the smaller sort of what we call SME, so those small to medium-sized employers and those local companies, they can offer just as good opportunities. But just to give you an idea, if there's any on the screen there, you know that obviously a lot of them have this early careers pages on their website, so you can actually have a look and track what they're doing with their recruitment. Even if they're not actually currently recruiting, they will talk about their sort of recruitment of their apprentices throughout the year and talk about the opportunities that they typically have available. Okay, next screen, please. Okay, so I've looked on the, there's a government website, you may be aware of it, it's called Find an Apprenticeship. It's the sort of government portal where the sort of majority of the vacancies, apprenticeship vacancies across the country are listed. So within a 5-mile radius of Bridgewater, there's currently 24 vacancies, and you can see as you go further afield how that sort of increases. Within a 20-mile radius, there was 188 vacancies. So it's really important to remember when you're looking, or when your son or daughter is looking, that, you know, that they try to extend their search as far as reasonably as possible, obviously taking into account how they're going to travel to those locations, because it will obviously open up a lot more opportunities for them. Okay, next slide, please. So picked out a few live vacancies on that website just for you to have a look at, just to give you an idea as to the different range of apprenticeships that are out there at the moment. So you'll see we've got things like property maintenance there. At Train4 is a level 2 vacancy, so that will come out with the equivalent of GCSEs at the end of that. And then your level 3s are obviously equivalent to A-level, as I mentioned before. So we've got things like creative venue technician apprentice, cyberspace communications there for the Royal Air Force is one of the many opportunities that the RAF offer. We've got digital marketing, apprentice toolmaker, so that's an engineering role, and obviously a sous chef there as well. So there's lots and lots of opportunities. One thing you will notice is the closing date is different on all of these vacancies, and that's because the government website Find an Apprenticeship is a live job site, so it's very much like those websites like Indeed and so forth. There's new vacancies coming on every day, so it's really, really important to keep on top of those dates, those closing dates. The national minimum wage for apprentices is currently £4.85 an hour. So you need to obviously look at that when starting salaries here are obviously being advertised, and you know, that is just the starting salary. So if you do look at an opportunity and sort of you think, oh, it's a bit low, most employers do build in sort of pay reviews within their contracts for their apprentices. So just bear in mind that this is just a starting salary, but you see there that some of them are you know, a good starting salary for somebody that's maybe just leaving school with sort of little or no experience in those roles. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, how to find an apprenticeship. So I've just mentioned the government website, Find an Apprenticeship. You can go on there and there's sort of register on there to sort of manage alerts so that you get alerts sent to you when new vacancies come up. Also contact companies direct. So you know, make sure that they've got CVs, cover letters, and actually approach employers that maybe aren't even advertising for vacancies, because lots of apprentices do find sort of opportunities through that way as well. Okay, next slide, please. While we're on that subject of sort of the Find an Apprenticeship website, I just want to briefly let you know of a couple of online sessions that we're running through the ASK programme for Somerset Year 11. So if anybody would like to register to come along to a session, just to actually so we're going to be going through actually how to register and search, make the most of the search facilities on that website. So we're going to be going through that online, how to obviously apply for those apprenticeships as well. So we're giving you some sort of tips about applying and filling in those applications and making them stand out. So you can either email hello@skillupsomerset.org.uk to get the registration link for that through Eventbrite, or it will be sent out in an email with all the information sort of after this event today. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so there's other places that you can look as well. Obviously, look on company websites. So if there's a particular employer that your son or daughter is wanting to look for an apprenticeship for, have a look on their websites, see if there's any opportunities to engage with those employers. So for example, Thatchers quite often have open days. So it might not be necessarily linked to their recruitment, but it looks really good on your application if you can say that you visited and talk about what you saw and sort of how you found that experience. So do look for ways to engage with those employers before the application process if possible. Follow them on social media. Again, lots of opportunities, and employers will actually sort of let their followers know about them on social media. And talking is really, really important. So let everyone know, friends and family know that that they're looking for an apprenticeship too. Okay, next slide, please. So very, very quickly, I want to talk about what a traineeship is. It's kind of a pre-apprenticeship program, so it's an unpaid program, but it is there to boost your confidence. So if maybe you're not quite ready to go on into the workplace and sort of into paid employment, then a traineeship could be a really, really good opportunity and a good option for your son or daughter. You have to be 16 to 24, and you cover things, 3 different parts in a traineeship. So you have English, maths and digital skills if they need sort of to work on those further after their GCSEs. You cover employability skills, so talking about things like job applications, interview skills, and so forth. All those kind of things will be covered. And also there's a work experience element as well. So they will actually do some work experience with an employer, which is, obviously gaining them something to go on their CV and helping them get used to being in that work environment. So a traineeship can be anything between 6 and 12 months, and you can be qualified up to level 3 to do a traineeship. And as I said, they're there to help you prepare for work. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, moving on to T-levels. So this is a relatively new qualification. It's only been that I think we're in the 2nd year of delivery now. So they're an alternative to A-levels. So it's a 2-year full-time course where you will attend a college and you'll be studying towards a qualification, and it's aimed to obviously get you work ready, very much in the same way as all these other programs that I've talked about. So it's flipped around a little bit the other way from an apprenticeship, in as much as that 80% of your time you are studying, and 20% of your time for the duration of that 2 years you are actually in a workplace in what we call an industry placement, so actually learning on the job skills with that. It says 45-day industry placement here. It can be more, but that's sort of like, the sort of the minimum that it can be. And I'd say they are designed by employers, so you can be sure that you're gaining the knowledge and experience that employers are looking for, just the same as with apprenticeships. And 1 T-level subject is equivalent to 3 A-level passes. There's 24 different courses. Well, there will be by 2023, so they've been rolling out. On the next screen, I've just got a few of the subjects there just to show you really quickly. And there are so many progression options from a T-level. So you could go into employment, you could go into an apprenticeship, you could go to full-time university. They're just a really good stepping stone for many, many sort of other progression opportunities. Okay, T-level subjects, as I've mentioned, they're sort of being rolled out. So September 20 and September 21, as you can see, those are the subjects that are currently available, or have been up until this September just gone. And then we've got September 22 and September 23. There's further subjects being rolled out. What I would suggest is that if you're interested in looking more at T-levels, that you have a look on your local college websites to see what subjects they're offering. and also on the tlevels.gov website as well. You can find that information and look for training providers and colleges offering them. Okay. And then finally, just to let you know that there are some resources online for parents. So there is the amazingapprenticeships.com. There's one website there, which is lots and lots of information, not for parents, it's just for parents, obviously for students as well. And then the apprenticeships.gov.uk. So there's lots of information and resources there about the three options that I've spoken about this evening, and so parent packs and lots of information there for you to help you and support your child in making those decisions. Okay, that's it from me. I'm sorry I've gabbled on for long enough. I tried to fit all that in a short space of time. So I hope that you've picked up the information that you need from that. But if does anybody have any questions, I'll just have a quick look. I don't think there's any questions on there. Okay, so in that case, then I'm going to hand over to Tash from Bridgewater and Taunton College. Over to you, Tash.
Mute. Hello guys, hello. I'm hoping you can hear me. I've unmuted.
I can hear you.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you. Hi, I'm Tash and I'm one of the business relationship managers at Bridgewater Taunton College. Yeah, I just want to give you a brief overview of what we can do here at the college for you. So can I have the next slide, please? So I don't know whether you're aware, but we actually have 3 campuses. So we have Bridgewater campus, Taunton, and obviously Cannington, and each sort of specialise in various areas across curriculums. In total, at any one time, we can have up to 20,000 total student population. So it's can be a busy place sometimes. Over 1,600 staff now. And again, maybe should have updated this. We actually work with over 3,000 employers in the local area and also nationally. And yeah, lots of bids in, and we have a current £50 million investment in facilities. There's quite a large investment going in at the moment around nursing. We've just started offering a nursing degree, so yeah, there's a lot of money coming in to help us, you know, train people up. And like I said, there's a vast breadth of curriculum areas. I don't know if I think the next slide we go into it a little bit more. Can you go to the next one? So yeah, sorry, yeah, it's not. But yeah, we've got things like business admin, healthcare, early years, and obviously like Nikki said, the usuals, carpentry, construction. The application process is relatively simple. We encourage everyone to apply online, and each applicant can then choose convenient campuses with multiple choices of T levels, A levels, foundation studies or levels 1, 2 and 3, and also apprenticeships. It's important that applications are made to the college from a private email address and not the school one, because we have a tendency in the summer, if we need to communicate, the school email addresses have a tendency to disappear. They go into the ether. So it's important that it's done from a personal email. All applications are processed the next working day by our admissions team. And then we receive all these applications up until October half term, and then we can enrol them onto that academic year, depending on the course capacity and availability. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so the student is immediately invited to an interview with the curriculum team. This is done via phone, Microsoft Teams, or in person. It really depends on the convenience. And this is within 2 weeks of that initial application that the interview takes place. At interview, they're given an overview of the course. And at that point, they're asked they will have opportunity to ask questions. They can also, I forgot to say, they can apply for multiple courses if they're not quite certain on which direction they want to take. You can apply for multiple courses. So I've got young learners that have applied for, say, digital marketing as well as business administration. So it's varied, and once they're into the system, we can obviously signpost them, and it depends then whether they link up to the correct employer with the right opportunity. So information, advice and guidance is provided to the student who can be signposted to another course if necessary. And an offer is provided only if the applicant is suitable for the course. Offers are sent to the student within 10 working days via email, and the opportunity for the students to accept their offer verbally during the interview or by email. They're invited to enrol online in the early summer term prior to starting in September, at which point they're provided with BTC login details and can apply for their totem student cards, basically. Can I have the next slide, please? There's additional help, and if we identify that anybody has additional learning needs, that can be signposted at interview. There's student support with bursaries, bus passes, scholarships, etc. Obviously, a lot of these young learners have to factor in that they've got to travel to their new employers, potentially to their apprenticeships, their training. So we can give them advice on that. And obviously, there's a wellbeing team there, you know, making sure that the safeguarding of the students is paramount, basically. Can I have the next slide? So yeah, students are invited to events prior to starting and during their learning. So even before they've enrolled onto maybe an apprenticeship or a full-time programme, they can take advantage of sport development days. There are taster days in other areas. There's obviously we hold open events throughout the summer as well, and there are enrichment academies. So for example, we have a 999 academy for young people looking to maybe potentially work with I don't know, the fire service, for instance, or the ambulance service. And there's careers advice, progression opportunities. The next slide. Okay, thank you. If you've got any more questions, I'm happy to field some of those. Nope. Hand over to the next one then.
Thank you, Tash.
Yeah,
Hi,
thanks,
my
Tash.
name is my name is Emma France, and I'm a Supported Employment Coordinator. And this is my colleague Jane Parker, and we're just going to talk you through some of the support and transitional steps, and also next step progression opportunities for young people with educational healthcare plans who may be thinking of next steps post being at school. So if we could have the next slide, that would be fantastic. Thank you. So I'm going to talk you through this slide, and then Jane will talk you through some of the options and next steps around apprenticeships and traineeships and internships. So we just wanted to just talk through the process around transitioning to further education for those young people with an education healthcare plan. And obviously anybody with an education healthcare plan will have the same rights as every other young person around having careers and guidance interviews. And those are done by careers advisors within schools, with some specialist background around approaching young people who may need a slightly different approach to being able to voice their opinion and choices and options for their next steps. With an educational healthcare plan, obviously they have an annual review that takes place, and that is a legal responsibility for the school, and that would be ongoing as a young person steps into their further education establishment, or whether they went on to further training with a training provider. Every academic year they would obviously need to have their annual review and their education healthcare plan reviewed as well. So when we're thinking about a final education healthcare plan review, that normally happens in year 11. Or if a young person is transitioning to a different educational setting or a next step. So during that final education healthcare plan review, it's thinking about amendments that might need to be made around the outcomes, as well as discussing where that next step may be. So identification of where the young person's choices alongside their families and other support network that they have around them, around their next step choices. So that would be around going and exploring what the other options are. So visiting local FE providers and exploring whether those can meet need and have really strong progression routes and outcomes for aspirations for young people. Also in that educational healthcare plan review is thinking about what those outcomes should look like. So if we're thinking that an aspirational aim for a young person will be to move into work, then that should be stated on the educational healthcare plan. And also if there's any changes in support needs. So when we're thinking about the changes from school to maybe an FE or a college setting, it's about how the support that they've been receiving at school can transfer into the support that they would need when they're in an FE or further educational setting. So it's just having that in mind when thinking about what those amendments might need to be around an educational healthcare plan that fits their next steps. Once those amendments are put forward to the local authority and the the placement or the option for what the young person and family are thinking about for next steps. So that might be your local college. That is then the local authority will then discuss with the further educational college or setting, and to be able to talk through with them whether they're able to meet that young person's needs. And then if the local authority are happy with that, and the college and the further educational setting are happy with that, they will then be able to say that they're able to offer a place. And that's when the process then starts going forward. So making an application for college is really important. So even though the process has gone through with the local authority around the educational healthcare plan and the commission place in place, filling in an application form for college is really vital. And that can happen before the commission place has been put in place, because actually, you know, everybody has the right to make an application for college, and it doesn't have to just be for one college, as we advise for young people as they move forward, as they're making choices. But filling in an application form for a college is really vital, so that they can then start that process of engagement, which can then lead to an interview, to taster sessions, to visits. And I would always suggest that young people have an opportunity to meet staff and key leads in a college around the courses that they might be considering, but also to then discuss their support needs and make sure that they are also happy that that setting would be able to meet need. If transport and special arranged transport is significant and important for that young person to be able to access their next steps, so if they needed transport to be able to transfer from home to college, because independent travel isn't something that they're in a place to be able to do, then making an application for special arranged transport is really important. That needs to be done by the July of the year before you start in September. So if you were going to be starting for this September 2022, that application needs to be in by July 2022. The link for the transport we can put into the chat, and it can also be found in Somerset County Council website. There are different changes from 16 to 19 and 19 plus. So anyone who is applying for special arranged transport, there is a contribution that young people and families are asked to make towards that transport, which is different from pre-16. And that is normally around £800 an academic year. Young people can make an application for support from the bursary once they start at college, to be able to support some of that as well financially, and that would be dependent on an individual basis. Once a young person turns 19, currently at the moment, and these things may always change, is that once someone changes into their 19th year and their next academic year, so after their 19th birthday, the next academic year, the transport then reverts to being free again. So it's always best to check with the transport and to get those applications in as soon as possible. So colleges are really good at being able to do that seamless transition, and a number of the schools are really good at also about supporting that seamless transition from school to college. So colleges will set up taster days specifically for those with an educational healthcare plan that might need more time to be able to transition to being at school to college, and then to have visits and orientation events that can be slightly different from the main college events that they set up for the rest of the college, so that it gives that little bit more supported seamless transition. As I already said, educational healthcare plans, it's a legal responsibility for those to be reviewed year on year, and colleges will review those educational healthcare plans with always that mind about what is the next progressive step, so it's really clear in outcomes. And then keeping an active educational healthcare plan until a young person is 25, as long as they are making progressive steps academically, and we'll be able to provide them with that extended bit of support to be able to get to where they want to be and reach their aspirations. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Jane, who's going to talk you through our next slide. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. During the sort of the careers information guidance interviews and talking about aspirations potentially following college, supported employment may be one of the options that a young person is considering. And what we mean basically by supported employment, it's the opportunity for that individual to have the personalised support to enable them to gain employment and retain it with an employer who works directly with both the young person and what we call a job coach, who gives them that individual support to make sure that they understand what the job is, they're able to learn the job in a way that is specific for them, but then also to get that continued support to enable them to sort of achieve a meaningful employment. The flight path to work, as we call it, can start right early on with the careers advice at school, go through transition into further education, and then on to, well, I'll come on to shortly, the internship, traineeships, apprenticeships. As part of their journey in school and college, they would have the opportunity anyway to get experiences of work, to understand what it is to be in a job and to work with an employer and have specific tasks to do. And that's all really good information for them, understanding, and it also allows young people to build up those skills which they can then use and develop as they go into employment. So to just briefly go through the supported internship route, this is normally a year. It gives a young person the opportunity to try up to 3 different types of work with one employer, normally attached with their college course as well. And one of the examples of this within Somerset is something called Project Search, which is happening at Musgrove Park Hospital in Taunton. So you can see that there's different options within that for a young person to gain experience, potentially in an administrative role, a care-centred role, stock control, that type of thing. The supported traineeship, earlier on, Nikki talked about the traineeship, and it's exactly the same in a supported traineeship, apart from the fact that you get the extra support from a job coach to enable you to work through the work experience part of it and to understand what it is you're doing. There's currently 2 opportunities within Somerset that are due to start in September, but the process is happening at the moment. The first one is with Avon and Somerset Police. That will be a year-long traineeship. And there's also the Hinkley Point C supported traineeship. Once a traineeship is completed, you can either potentially go into work, or you might want to go into what we call supported apprenticeship. Again, this, as Nikki said before, is a real job with real pay, real experience, and the opportunity to gain the qualifications. The slight difference with it is that if a young person can't quite achieve academically the level of English and maths, they will continue to develop their English and maths, but there may be a point where for that time, that's all they're able to do, and that's okay. Supported apprenticeships are advertised in exactly the same way as the apprenticeships. They're on the Find an Apprenticeship website, so you can register and look for vacancies as you would. And Emma and I, our role within all this as supported employment coordinators is to develop opportunities for young people, is to try and coordinate opportunities so that everybody comes together to have these amazing things available for young people with SEND. If you'd like to know more about when these opportunities are available, what I suggest is the EBP website, and I'm sure they'll explain there how you can sign up to the parents portal to get up-to-date information. And I think that's just about it. And our details are there if you need to get in contact with any further info for any questions. If there's none in the chat box. Thank you.
There's none in the chat, so thanks very much. And we'd like to pass over to Sophie from Strode College. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emma and Jane. Unfortunately, my camera is not working this evening, apologies, but I am just going to talk you through the application process of Strode College and also about what admissions can offer to you. So if I could have the next slide, please. So our application process, what we say to most students or to all students is have a think, do your research. We've got many kind of apps that we have. We offer the Pathways app on our website, and we also point students towards Careers Pilot so that you can have a look. There's also a government website on all jobs that are available, what kind of training you need to get onto those careers. So we tell students to look at university progression, job progression, whatever you need to get to where you want to go, really research that and look at what universities and what employers are asking for so that we can then help you get to where you want to go. There's always careers advisors and heads of years at your school. We're always going backwards and forwards with them. So we do advise that you speak with them. And then come along to an open evening if possible. We advise you go to as many open evenings for as many colleges local to you as possible. This gives you a really wide range of knowledge of what those colleges offer you, where you feel most comfortable. And that's what we always say, to stay at the college that you feel most comfortable in. Our next open evening is June the 15th, and I know that a lot of the colleges, Yeovil, Western, Bridgewater, Taunton College, have open evenings coming up, so check their websites if you haven't decided what you want to do. Get in there now and have a look. Usually we say to attend a college experience day. They happen in November and December, but we do offer single personalised tours for students. So if you do want to come along to a tour, our school liaison officer, Debbie, or one of our admissions team are happy to walk you around after school times, obviously, so that you don't miss out on school, but do ring us if you want to come along to one of those tours. We can get you speaking to specialist tutors. And you can just have a feel of the campus and see how you find it when you come along. Following that, once you've made your decision, we ask you to fill out an application form, and on the next slide I'll take you through the different ways that you can do that. Once your application form is in, we will then call you to book an interview. We're also moving over to Eventbrite, so we can digitally book interviews and you can make your own decisions on dates. And then you will attend a short interview. We do call it an interview, but it's a very informal information, advice and guidance talk so that we know we're putting you on the course that gets you to where you need to go. Following that, you'll be given a conditional offer, or if you've decided it's not the course for you, we'll signpost you to another tutor interview for a different course if that's what's suitable. We then give you a conditional offer within a digital pack. You can accept that offer. And then following that, we have a new student welcome day. This year, we're having ours on July 4th. It's just a chance to come along, sit within classes that you may well be coming to in September with people that most probably will be on the same course as you in September. And it's just a little taster of what it might be like. And also the college is closed to all our current students, so you get a feel for it on your own and get comfortable there on your own. And then we send enrolment packs in July, and then you attend your enrolment appointment with us in August following your GCSE results day. Next slide. So how to apply, there are many options, whichever you feel comfortable with. You can apply online via our website. It's very simple. It's just course search. You find the subjects, you almost add them to that basket, and then you just follow the My Courses, and then it'll give you instructions on how to complete the application. You can apply by post. We're happy if you feel more comfortable to send us in a paper copy. That's not a problem. We have a free post address, and the application form is in the back of our prospectus, so we're perfectly happy for you to do that. If you can't get a prospectus for any reason and you just want to pop us an email, we can send you an interactive copy of our application form. And when to apply is you can apply right up until enrolment, so that's not an issue. But we do say the sooner you apply, the sooner we can deal with any queries. We can show you more course options, and you can think about whether it's T-level, apprenticeship, A-level, vocational, which one suits you the best. So we can point you in the right direction and get you settled before it comes to enrolment. Next slide, please. So a little bit about admissions. We're here to provide you with information, advice and guidance. We do send different digital information packs out at different times. So we have inquiry packs with transport information, bursary information, virtual tours of the college if you can't make it into college for any reason. We also process your applications and arrange your interviews. So we put you in an interview with a specialised tutor. If you're unsure before your interview and you want to have a chat with the staff in the college, you can come along at open evening, or you can contact us and we can get some more in-depth information about the course out to you by email, so that if you are kind of in the middle of deciding which course you want to do, we can help you make those decisions and then get to your interview. We send out important information about dates, especially enrolment, the student welcome day. So we send that information out, and also monthly we send a newsletter to all students who have applied to us, just to update what's going on in the college, anything that might be linked to the course that you're interested in. So we do keep you supported and updated throughout the whole process. And then we manage and run the enrolments as well. Next slide, please. So information, advice and guidance is the most important thing you can get moving on to college. You need to look at as much information as you can. So the prospectuses from all colleges are all available on their websites. You can request specialist information about each courses from the colleges. You can email us at any time. When you're doing your interview, get as much information about those courses as you can, the breakdown of modules, whether there's exams involved, because that changes year on year. So you may think that one course doesn't have an exam on it, but we do want you to find out exactly what's involved with those. A lot of vocational are now pulling exams into them. As I said, look at the pathways information. It's available on our website. It will show you where certain courses can take you, what kind of wages you're looking at, salaries that can come at the end of that, and consider all options. Like I said, A-levels, T-levels, vocational and apprenticeships, traineeships. You have to consider all the options and what's going to work best for you. We always say to have a backup plan based on GCSE grades. If you are kind of borderline and you're worried, just always look at a backup plan, just so you're not panicking or worried when it comes to enrolment. And always discuss your options with family, friends, with your careers lead, with your year head, with friends at school. It's really important to have those discussions because other students and other family and friends may have heard of other courses that you're not aware of. And taking part in college experience days can help students make decisions between different courses. Next slide, please. So additional support, any students with additional needs, we've heard about EHCPs already. If that comes along to us and we know about them at application, then we put in all that additional support. We make contact with you, find out exactly what support that you need, so that we understand what we're doing before you become a student at Strode, and we're not trying to put the support in place late. So it's really good to tell us that at application what you need. If you've got information with your school, we have transition panels where all our schools talk to each other with colleges. So that's great, but it's really important to tell us exactly what each student needs. And we'll listen carefully to any challenges or concerns that you might have had at school, and especially following COVID. We're really aware of the impact that it's had on students, and we have more counselling available. We have more one-to-ones with tutors and things like that in place. Next slide, please. So how we communicate with you. We are proud to be a sustainable college. We are trying to go as digital as possible, but we do understand that some information does need to be posted, so that's not an issue if you would prefer to fill out like a paper form, as I said. And we do post the enrolment appointments as well. All that information is posted out. It's quite a lot of information to take on and some forms to fill out. We will mainly use your email address. I know somebody earlier said to use a private email address rather than a school one. That really does help. That's quite important to remember, because the school ones do vanish. You can follow us on social media, and our admissions number is right there. There's always somebody there throughout the summer. We're there through all holidays and breaks. There's always someone within admissions. So if you do need to talk to us, you can get hold of us at any time. And that is me done. If we go to the next slide. That's great. So I'll pass you over to Somerset Education Business Partnership.
I'm Andrew from Somerset Education Business Partnership. We connect businesses with schools and colleges so that young people can see what great career opportunities are out there within Somerset. And we know that planning next steps can be daunting. There are just so many options out there. And sometimes, well, when you listen to everything you've heard of today, so many options, it can feel that a young person has to make decisions without knowing every possible opportunity or without knowing the full facts. So we share information regularly on as many opportunities as possible so that you and your young people can be as informed as possible. And I think also when you're 16, 17, 18, it can feel like I'm signing up for life. If I make this decision now, I'm closing down all these other decisions. Well, it doesn't need to be like that. You can take that, pressure off. They might spend a year studying one thing, get that certificate and move on to something else. They might complete a traineeship or an apprenticeship. So there are no dead ends. As long as they're committed to what they're doing at the time they're doing it, there's always the opportunity to move on. So if you can move on to the next slide. And we're also aware when a young person's coming to that transition point, the pressure can feel there as a parent to think, well, what are you going to do next year? What's your next step? And that can be quite a tense place to start a conversation. So if you can just start it further back, what is your young person good at? What do they enjoy? Start on that sort of positive exploratory note. And then hopefully that'll be in a good place to think about, well, what does that link to? Because as you'll have heard from all the other speakers, there are just so many options that whatever they're good at, whatever they enjoy, however they enjoy learning, which for some people is in books or online, and for other people is in doing, there will be an option that links to that. So if you start with those conversations, you're then in a good place to look to what the options are. So if you go to the next slide, if you go to our website, which you can see the link for there, and you can see 2 other links to download, which obviously you can't access in this presentation, but we will send out those links afterwards. You can go back to these reference points. One is a post-16 choices guide, which was updated last year, and will talk you through traineeships, apprenticeships, T-levels. So don't worry if you can't remember everything that every speaker said today. You can go back and access that information and take it a chunk at a time. Download the resource, have a cup of tea one day, read one section, another day, read another section, and you can go through it with your young person. The second guide is an employability and skills guide. So this talks more about how to present yourself to the college, to the apprenticeship provider, to the employer, or even if you're looking at self-employment, things to think through. So there's some good resources there you can download and again work through bit by bit. If you go to the next slide again. And if we come back to the how does this all tie up to what I want to do in the future? Which industry do I want to work in? We have this series of industry insights on our website. So if your young person at the moment does not know where they want to go in the future, what job they want to do, they can literally go in and see behind the scenes in 12 different industries, all in Somerset. They simply need to create an account, log on, and they can watch a series of interviews with employers in different industries. So there's one on health and well-being, one on engineering and manufacturing. You can see their hair and beauty one there, and you can see a science and technology one there. Got 12 different industries, and they literally watch the videos, answer a short quiz or several quizzes, and then they can access a certificate to show that they've done that industry insight, which again will be helpful to take to an interview for a college course or even for an employer. And if you could go to the next slide. And finally, Jane referred to this earlier. We have a parents alert that goes out about once a month, but we will send more out if we spot something that we think our Somerset parents really need to know about. So I'd really encourage you to go to that link there and subscribe to our parent alert, because what we do is every time we hear of a great opportunity from a local employer, we will put it on there. And these are often in-person work experiences, or they might be virtual work experiences, or sometimes they might be very niche apprenticeships that we want to share with you as parents. So examples we've had recently have been work experience with the Army, which is actually quite hard to get, work experience with a couple of the large professional services bodies, so lawyers and accountants, and work experience with some of the bigger engineering companies working in infrastructure, working in defence. So these are really great opportunities for young people, which we just want to share with parents locally, so that your young people have the opportunity to do those things. So please do sign up, and it's just all live things that you can talk to your young person. So even if they're not interested in one, it helps them just to get a feel for what's out there. So that is my last slide. So unless anyone has any questions, and I can't see any in the Q&A, I'm going to hand over to Richard to tell you about SomersetWorks.
Behind, underneath and around all of this, what we do is we help young people to make those choices and decisions, often when they're not sure. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. Because often, at least you can't see me, at least you can hear me, which is excellent. Often, I like this slide. It's called the chaos theory of careers. Your expectation in life is to be a nice straight line that goes up through the graph and looks lovely. The reality is that often it's far more squiggly than that. I'm not sure if other people on the call would have that experience, but mine certainly looks a lot closer to ones on the reality side than the expectation side. So you will change your mind. You will quite probably decide you want to do something different. Nothing is closed down. Now, over the last hour, a lot of options have been explained, a lot of options have been gone through, a lot of things have been talked about. If after all that, you've got a young person who you're going, I'm not sure what next, then next slide, please, Imelda. We have at SomersetWorks a team who can offer some independent advice, can help you find the best way forward and discover the options that suit you best. Okay, your young people best. We offer one-to-one support. We can give independent, impartial, friendly support and guidance to help you decide what comes next. Because actually someone might be leaving school going, I'm going there, and they might have when they think, well, I'm not sure, is that what I want to do? We can pull that together, talk to the people they're going to, but actually talk about the other options that are available. Next slide, please. So we can help with access to full-time courses, apprenticeships and traineeships. We can guide you through to the people you've been hearing from before. We've been able to give some support with functional skills if people didn't get those when they're at school, as they move into year 12. We've done work helping people with job searching, interview techniques, and we're looking at job applications and writing CVs. A lot of young people will have those. They'll come out of school with those, but actually, if they haven't and they want more support, we can do that. And also a lot of what we do is look at the employability skills that people have and how we develop those skills into going to employment or going to college. It is a big jump from school to college, particularly over the past 2 years where people have been, until recently, locked down, at home, online. You're going into a face-to-face environment. You're going back into school. Okay, this year has been theoretically a bit more normal, but still quite patchy for a lot of young people. So it's providing that support as they take a next step into what is a new phase of life. Next slide, please. So we understand how important it is for young people to actually get access to the information. That's what we were doing this evening. That's what this has been about. But we also have hubs located across Somerset. You don't have to make an appointment, but sometimes useful to know that someone's going to be there and is free to meet our advisors, ourselves, or staff we work with Somerset Skills and Learning to look at what their next steps look like. If we can just click on to the next slide, please. So if you can read that, that's where they are. That's where we are. There we go. So we're in Minehead, we're in Willerton, we're in Bridgewater, we're in Frome, Taunton, Yeovil. And actually, we've also got one in Street now as well of an afternoon. But if you flick on to the next slide, please, hopefully this is the one that says who we are. That's who you can contact us with. That's how you can make contact with us. We're there to help young people, there to give advice, and there to signpost people through to the great people that have been talking to you in the last hour. There's a link to our web page, which is there, which takes you through to our county council website, where you can look at the various options there are and look at some of the background information. If you feel you would like some support, or that your young person would like some support as they go through this summer, or to be honest, in next year, when they are where they thought they wanted to be, but maybe not sure, or want some support, or they haven't turned up, or they're unclear, you can make a referral through that to us, and one of my team will come and chat to you. If not, There's a mobile phone number there, and there's a website there. We can talk to you, and we can help, and we can assist. Now, I think if you flick on to the last one now, which is just a thank you. So just to thank you for being here, for giving up your time this evening to talk to us, listen to us, ask some questions, and just have an understanding of all the amazing options that are out there. It's a big jump. It's a big thing. You're moving from year 11 into year 12, but actually there's a fantastic range of options out there that can meet the needs of a whole range of young people, not in a one-size-fits-all way, but in a way that actually meets the needs of all the young people. Any questions, talk to someone in any of these groups. Look at the links you've got there. Speak to Andrew, speak to us, or just turn up at your colleges and ask those questions. But thank you for your time this evening. The connections, the links are all there. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to seeing young people in a really good destination come September. Thank you.